Hey everyone, it's Danny here and welcome to today's video. Now today I'm going to be talking to you about B2B leads on Facebook and how you can reduce the cost of generating those using ads by up to 70% and sometimes even more. Now, let me just explain the difference between the two main audiences that you can go for if you're running a business online and you are running Facebook ads to grow that business. So you may have heard of the terms B2B and B2C. B2B, business to business, nearly got that wrong. B2C, business to consumer. Okay, so business to consumer is often thought of as if you are maybe running an online store and you're selling products that end user consumers kind of buy. Candles, for argument's sake, dog products. If you're a business selling to consumers, that's a B2C market. B2B is where you're selling business to business. And that can often apply certainly in the space that a lot of my clients operate in, where they are coaches who are selling to other coaches, trying to help them, give them skills, give them knowledge to improve what they're doing. But it could equally be any business that's selling to another business. Okay. So today in this video, I'm going to be focusing on the B2B side of things. And the reason I'm doing that is because the cost per lead that you may generate will vary quite wildly from B2C to B2B, right? So business to consumer, if you're growing an email list because you want to be able to market to your via email, you might expect to pick up leads between £1 and £3, £2 and £4, that kind of end. And look, if you're B2C and you're getting better results than that, fantastic. I'm just kind of giving you some numbers because it varies massively depending on the niche, the audience, what kind of market you operate in. But you're going to get a relatively low cost per lead in that space. Whereas if you're in the B2B space, it generally tends to be more expensive. You might expect to pay £7 to £10 per lead if you're in the B2B space, or higher or lower. Again, it very much varies, but generally speaking, the B2B cost per lead is higher than the B2C cost per lead. So what can we do? What can we do to reduce that? Before we get into reducing that, I think it's really important to understand, and I do talk about this a lot, a low cost per lead is not the holy grail of an online business. Because if your leads are really, really cheap, but no one buys anything, it kind of defeats the object. So what you really want to be looking at is the overall picture, which sometimes it will take time to get visibility of, especially if you're just kind of starting out with this stuff. But you want to understand, and you'll only understand this once you've gathered data and you've been doing this for a month, maybe 2 or 3 months, depending on how long your sales cycles are. You really want to start looking at, okay, so what is my cost per lead? How many sales am I making? And what's my cost per acquisition? Because your cost per acquisition is one of the most important costs, because that will tell you how much it's cost to acquiring a customer. And a customer, very different to a lead, right? You can generate leads all day long and they might see a bit of your content but never buy. Customers are what we want, right? That's the goal. So you want to understand what your cost per acquisition is and then make sure that you're profitable, right? So if your cost per acquisition is £100 and your product sells for £500, fantastic, because you're making £400 every time you acquire a customer and your cost per acquisition is lower than the price that you're selling at. So hopefully that makes sense. But if you've got questions, drop them in the comments. So you have to generate leads that convert. That's the thing. And you've got to turn a profit. Otherwise it's ridiculous. So if you've got a good funnel in place, whatever it is that you're doing, and I will use the analogy of my ideal client, which might be an online coach or course creator, right? So they're probably generating leads to grow their audience, and then they're going to be selling a course or a coaching program to them. If you've got a profitable funnel in place, fantastic. And if you're in the B2B space, your cost per lead might be high, and you might be thinking, well, if I can reduce that cost per lead down, I'm going to be more profitable because I can generate more leads. I know how many leads it generally tends to take to turn into a client. So you might get one client for every 50 leads you generate, right? So if you can reduce your cost per lead down, the amount of money that you're spending up front to generate those leads is going to be the same, but you'll be getting more leads in at a lower cost per lead. And because your conversion rate from leads into clients is 1 in 50, obviously you're going to make more money, right? That kind of makes sense. Hopefully you can see how that flows through. So reducing your cost per lead is a good thing. Now, what I'm going to share with you today is a strategy that I've used with B2B clients for a couple of years now. It works really, really well. Targeting B2B clients directly on Facebook can be expensive. It's just the way it goes. There are a number of different reasons for that, which I'll explain now. So firstly, the audience is generally going to be a little bit smaller. Business to consumer, you know, the world is, we're all consumers, right? But we don't all own businesses. So you're going to be targeting a smaller audience. You might have more competition in that audience. There are those kinds of factors that you need to consider when you're thinking about, you know, why lead costs are more expensive. But if we just take that as a given, what we want to do is think about how we can reduce those costs down. So let me just pop over to my iPad and I'll show you. So before I do that, the strategy that I'm going to lean into here is very much focused on LinkedIn. Okay, so LinkedIn is a really, really cool platform for building B2B relationships because it's the business kind of social media platform, right? People are there to do business. You go to LinkedIn, it's about business. You know, I get a lot of the messages I receive on LinkedIn, which I'm not a huge fan of, but as soon as I connect with somebody, they'll pitch me in the DMs. I don't think that's the best way to do things, by the way. I think it is very much about relationships, and you certainly wouldn't catch me doing that. However, it does happen on Facebook as well. But look, you go to LinkedIn, you know you're there for a business conversation because that's the whole reason that the gig exists, right? So if you've got a really decent sized network of connections on LinkedIn, how can you run Facebook ads to that audience? Well, there is a really cool workaround that I love, and I'm going to share that with you right now. So what I'm going to do is flip over to here, and I'm getting better at this. So this is my iPad. This is my LinkedIn profile. So all you need to look at is the number of connections that you can see just below the text. You'll see it says 500 plus connections. Okay, that's great. If I click onto that, then if you're looking at the first level connections, at the top, you can see I've got about 4,700 results. Brilliant. Okay, so that's not a bad sized audience. It's not a brilliant sized audience, by the way. You know, on Facebook for advertising, we like to advertise, you know, I normally say you probably want an audience of at least 1 million if you're going to be running ads. And this will be, you know, generally speaking, we would think about this as cold traffic, because although they are connections on LinkedIn, you know, a lot of people will just connect with you on LinkedIn and then forget you exist because they're just building up a network, right? So I wouldn't say that all of these are, you know, really hot leads, but there is an audience there. And I know, because I am selective about the people that I welcome into my audience from the connection requests I receive, that these people are definitely a good indication of my ideal client. There's lots of coaches, consultants, and course creators and business owners in here. Okay, so what you can do as well is if you have a think about, well, you know, if we expand this out to include first and second level connections, then the audience size goes up to, I think it's about, brilliant. Yeah, 1.75 million. That's a nice sized audience. All right, so I won't bother going into the third, but what I will do instead is just come back to you for a second. So we've got an audience there. What are we going to do? How can we show Facebook ads to that audience? Because Facebook doesn't have a targeting option that says target your connections on LinkedIn. That it doesn't work like that. So we need to kind of be a bit creative in our thinking and think, well, what do we do? How do we target these people? So I'll show you, I'll just draw this out quickly on a notepad here, which is just loading up. There we go. All right, so what you'll have is you've got your LinkedIn audience here. Okay, so we need to think about a way that we can capture that audience and then target them with ads. And the way that I love to do this is I like to create a really engaging value-based, whoops, my handwriting is terrible, value-based content, and share that organically to my LinkedIn audience. Okay, so that could be something like a blog post. It could be something like a video training. But the key to this is that it is hosted on my website. Okay, so it's hosted on my website, and I have got the Facebook Pixel installed. on my website. What that means is that every time somebody visits the web page where this piece of content is hosted, the pixel will track that. And what I can do in Facebook then is build a custom audience of people that have visited that specific web page. Now, the idea here is that you're going to want to create a piece of content that is of incredibly high value to your ideal client. So for me, it could be this video, right? This video is going out on LinkedIn Live right now, but I could share this video as a separate piece of content and talk about the benefits that people can get. And look, here's how you can target your LinkedIn audience using Facebook ads, right? What you want to do is you want to drive as much traffic as possible to this piece of content here, because by doing that, you're then going to get a nice big custom audience. The other thing that you need to remember is that you do not want to send any other traffic to this piece of content here, because otherwise you're going to dilute that audience. If you start sharing it on Facebook as well, you'll get a lot of people from Facebook going to that page. So you want to make this a unique kind of squared off, boxed off piece of content that you're going to share with your LinkedIn audience only. And then you can start to build that audience out, okay? And then what you want to do is create a custom audience and then set up an advertising campaign in Facebook Ads Manager targeting that custom audience. Now, here's another hack for you. If you get that audience to a decent size, and I'm thinking probably, 1,000 plus people visiting that page, and that's not difficult to do. That's not difficult to do if you've got a strong organic game on LinkedIn, if you've got a nice engaged following, and if you just keep sharing that piece of content over, not continuously every single day because people get bored of it, but drop it in the mix every few weeks or whatever frequency works for your content strategy. But what you can do once you've got a decent sized custom audience here is you can then create, what color should we use that one? A lookalike of that custom audience. Lookalikes are incredibly powerful because if you've got an audience of 1,000 people or more in here, and that's a good number because it's a good cross section, it gives Facebook enough data to work with. You can say to Facebook, hey, find me more people like these that are users on your platform, that are users on Facebook. And it's not going to look for everybody that's got a LinkedIn profile, but it's going to look for the commonality between the 1,000 or so people that you've got in that custom audience. And it's going to see what behaviors they have, what traits they have around their profile, the way that they act on the platform, the interests that they show, and it's going to find more people like that. And then you can start to test these lookalike audiences, which are going to be completely cold, but they're going to be a lot bigger. Depending on where you live, in the UK, the last time I looked at this for a while, I think a 1% lookalike audience, which would be like the top 1% of results that come back, I think in the UK is about 350,000. I'd need to double check that. I know in the US, it's about 1 million, but then you can look at the 1%, the 2%, so on and so on. And you can add those together and you can do all sorts of clever stuff with those lookalike audiences and start to run ads and test different strategies. But the idea here is that you're building up this profile on Facebook of audiences that are B2B, right? They're very much like your LinkedIn profile users. So let me come back to you. I can see I'm getting lots of likes, which is really nice on this video. I don't see any comments, but I'm in StreamYard right now. So this is going out to a few different platforms as I record it live. So look, in summary, that is a strategy that I love to use. It works really, really well. And our clients love it when they put it into practice. Sometimes it can take a little bit of work because you do have to build that audience and you've got to do that organically. You've got to share that unique piece of content with that audience and make sure that you're getting lots of eyes on it. Now, another way that you can do that is by running, I'm not a massive fan of LinkedIn ads, okay? I've tried them in the past, haven't really managed to get the results, but that's very much focusing on like conversion objective ads where I want people to opt in for stuff. However, you could run an ad on LinkedIn that's just designed to get traffic to that piece of content, right? So you're kind of putting a bit of juice behind the organic side of LinkedIn and just trying to get that content shown to more people. Excuse me. You could create articles. There's loads and loads of things. This isn't a LinkedIn training, right? But there's lots of things that you can do to really, really grow that audience and use it as the seed, as the bed, if you like, to start to create other really cool audiences that you can target. So with that being said, I hope you got value. I hope that was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you've got value, if it helped, if you've got questions. I always come back and answer the questions in the comments. And just in closing, I want to share something with you. This is one of a number of strategies that can be found inside my brand new membership program, the Fearless Facebook Ads Fellowship. Bit of a mouthful, so we call it FAF for short, which isn't the best acronym. That's not an acronym, is it? Abbreviation. Oh, forget it. Anyway, it's not the best one in the world because we don't like to faff about generally, but hey, it works. So look, inside of the fellowship, you can get access to my Fearless Facebook Ads training course, which will teach you from start to finish everything you'll ever need to know about running successful Facebook ads campaigns. It starts off with some of the foundational stuff, explains how to grow your audience, explains how to use ads to do live launches and to do evergreen sales. And then there are other tactical videos that are being added all of the time that talk about topics like this, okay? Specific tactics that you can use. And that content is very much going to be member driven, right? So if you've got questions about stuff and I think, hey, there's a great piece of content that can benefit everybody, I'll create that and put it into the vault, okay? So there's going to be a huge amount of content to help you run really successful Facebook ads in there. But that's not all, because you're also going to get access to support from my agency team, okay? So the guys that I've got working in my agency that are running ads for clients and doing other cool things, but really, really understand how to run successful Facebook ads campaigns. In our Facebook group, you've got access to those people where they can answer your questions and give you support on your ads. So it's a bit like having access to my agency, but without paying me a couple of grand a month for the privilege where we would do it all for you. You get weekly support from a copywriting coach to help you to understand how you can write ads that convert. There's monthly guest expert slots from leaders in the digital marketing space and online business space to help you understand some of the wider stuff and how you can benefit from other cool things in digital marketing. But it's really a place just to help you to grow your business. There's a whole lot more stuff as well. We're kind of growing and evolving this thing. So if you want to check it out, then go to www.dannyyoungonline.com/fellowship. And you'll have the details there and you can take it from there. All right, so let me just quickly see if there's no questions in StreamYard, so I'll leave it there for now. If there are any questions on any of the platforms I'm sharing this live, then I will happily answer those. But until then, I'll see you on the next video. Take care. Cheers. Bye-bye.